Internal Revenue Service IRS tax news. IRS and community partners team up to provide free tax help for families to get advanced child tax credit payments and economic impact payments. Partners urged to use the AdvCTC online information and tools to help eligible taxpayers get registered. IR 2021-132, June 23, 2021, Washington. The Internal Revenue Service is partnering with nonprofit organizations, churches, community groups, and others in 12 cities to help eligible families, particularly those who normally do not file a federal tax return, file a 2020 tax return, or register for the monthly advanced child tax credit, known as, at this point, the AdvCTC payments using the new non-filer sign-up tool. So in other words, there's a lot of benefits to low-income taxpayers, including adjustments to kind of like the refundable portions of some of the refundable credits. So now we've got the child tax credit, the advanced child tax credit, and then you've got the economic impact payments, the earned income tax credit, and so on. So there's a lot of benefits for people to file. Note that there's many people that are under an income threshold and they don't have the legal obligation to file if their income is below a certain threshold because they're not going to owe any taxes at that point. Now, normally you might be in a situation, if that was your situation, where there's no real need to file if it was an income tax because you wouldn't owe any tax at that point in time. But as these changes take place, it's more likely that the tax code's being used as kind of a benefit program. So you might get money, people might get money, even though they don't have a tax liability. So although they're not required to file the taxes because they don't really owe any taxes, is kind of the general idea for not being required to file. By filing, they may get access to some of these benefit programs, including these refundable credits like the earned income tax credit, the child tax credit, and the economic impact payments, which are also known as the Recovery Rebate Credits. And these things are getting more and more complicated as they kind of run into each other and whatnot, and you have them on the same tax return. And now you have these advanced kind of things that are involved as well, meaning they're trying to give out the money before you file the tax return. And that's what we've been seeing in things like sometimes with the health insurance in the marketplace situation. That's kind of a method that's going to be used. It was used in the economic impact payments, where they're basically advanced payments that we then got to figure out on the tax return. And it's being used now for the child tax credit. So that also kind of increases the complexity. Now, people that don't normally file, then you would think that the best option for them would be actually to file the return because they might have access to more than simply the child tax credit, for example. And so it might be best to file the tax return. And there is free software generally online at the IRS.gov. If you look up the free file software, generally for people that are under a certain threshold to file the tax return. Now, some people might not benefit from filing the tax return and or may not want to file the tax return, and they just want to give the bare information to the IRS so the IRS can process, say, the advanced child tax credit and or any economic impact payments that they can basically process. That's what this non-filer sign-up tool does. So that's basically saying you don't need to file a tax return, but let's just give the IRS the basic information that they need to process these types of basically benefit payments, including the advanced child tax credit and the economic impact payment type payment. So that's what this non-filer tool is. This was here in the prior year when they did the economic impact payments and they were trying to get information for people that weren't filing the tax returns, and then it kind of disappeared, and now they're bringing it back to help out with this child tax credit situation as well. So again, this is getting kind of complicated now. So if people are helping out to make other people aware and use these tools like this non-filer sign-up tool and the free tax software that's being offered by many third-party softwares that you can find through the IRS website like Intuit and whatnot, TurboTax and whatnot, then that could be useful. So this tool, an update to last year's IRS non-filer tool, is also designed to help eligible individuals who don't normally file tax returns register for the 1,400 third round of economic impact payments, also known as the stimulus check, and claim the recovery rebate credit for any amount of the first two rounds of economic impact payments they may have missed. So the economic impact payments, we had rounds 1 through 3. Normally, they went through round 1 and 2, and they tried to use this non-filer tool for those that do not normally file a tax return to have something easier for them to file other than filing a tax return. And then round 3, and then basically as time passed, they said that now the remedy after that point in time, they took away the non-filer sign-up tool and said that those individuals needed to file a 2020 tax return in order to claim the round 1 and 2 recovery rebate credits. And then that would also be used for round 3. Now it looks like they're bringing back this non-filer tool in place, which may be easier once again for people that aren't required to file a tax return or possibly just don't want to for some reason and give the basic information for these economic impact payments. It looks like they're mentioning all 3 rounds basically here instead of, and that's kind of a change from what we saw in the past, which was, and they were saying that the remedy would be to file the tax return for 2020, generally to remedy these by getting the recovery rebate credit for round 1 and 2, and then round 3, the tax return would help the IRS to know what the economic impact payment would be and to file. So you may have an option to use one or the other. If you don't normally file a tax return, it may still be beneficial to file the tax return for 2020 instead of using the non-filer sign-up tool. You don't want to do both because you'll confuse the IRS if you do both. Because if you file the tax return, you may find that you qualify for other things like the earned income tax credit and so on. So it might be worth doing in that case. But for those that want it as easy as possible, if you're just trying to get the basic information to get the payments out and you're not required to file, then the non-filer tool may be the way to go. So let's read through that one more time. So this tool, an update of last year's IRS non-filer tool, is also designed to help eligible individuals who don't normally file tax returns register for the 1,400 third round economic impact payment, also known as the stimulus check, and claim the recovery rebate credit for any amount of the first 2 rounds of economic impact payments they may have missed. So it looks like you can actually use this non-filer tool instead of filing the tax return, which again is a bit of a change here if you haven't received any of the economic impact payments. But again, you still may want to file. It might be more beneficial to file a tax return because you might have other things that would be beneficial in it. So in any case, individuals do not need to have children in order to attend these events and sign up for the economic impact payments. The special events, there's a link to that here, by IRS and partner groups to help people quickly file income tax returns and register for the advanced payments, will take place over 2 weekends, June 25th to 26th and July 9th to 10th, 2021. Events will be held in Atlanta, New York, Detroit, Houston, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Miami, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Phoenix, St. Louis, and Washington, D.C. Quote, "This important new tax change affects millions of families across the nation, and the IRS wants to do everything it can to help people get the payments," end quote, said IRS Wage and Investment Commissioner Ken Corbin, who also serves as the agency's Chief Taxpayer Experience Officer. Quote, "Many people miss out on tax benefits simply because they don't file a tax return. Our work in these cities is designed to help people receive monthly advanced child tax credit payments and economic impact payments," end quote. So the advanced child tax credit payments, we had a couple posts on this. This is the new big thing that they're going to be doing, the other checks that can basically be going out. And again, it's tied to the 2021 tax return, which normally you wouldn't file until 2022. But they're trying to basically make it all refundable, this child tax credit, increase it, and then give at least part of it, I believe half of it, out in the format of monthly checks going out. So once again, checks going out just from the IRS, a little bit different than the normal stimulus check, but they did it in the format of increasing this child tax credit and then trying to send out half of it in monthly payments. So it will impact payments in 2021. So once again, that's why they're trying to get this information now so they can get that money out sooner. So people can check their eligibility for the advanced CTC, child tax credit payments, by using the new advanced child tax eligibility assistant. There's a link to that here. To make the sign-up process go quickly and smoothly, people are encouraged to have the following information when they come to one of these events. 1, Social Security number for their children. So you got to verify the children are your children, right? If you want to, to get the eligibility for it. Social Security number or tax identification number for themselves and their spouse. Remember that the main thing that you need to calculate this credit is, of course, your name and your Social Security number, dependent's name, dependent's Social Security number. Remember, the IRS, of course, sees you as a number. You got to have the number if they're going to see you. So a reliable mailing address and email address and their bank account information if they want to receive their payment by direct deposit. So notice that this can become important if you are dealing with other people that are moving around. It seems kind of straightforward that you'd need somewhere where the payment to go. But if someone is moving around a lot, that could be a problem, especially if the checks are going out monthly for 6 months, right? So it might be more reliable to have some kind of bank account there if possible that you can sign up. Some banks are setting up bank accounts at low cost or no cost, and it might be useful to have that. And if you're helping people out with this process, some process where they can get a bank account might be more reliable than an address if you're dealing with people moving around. So as part of the wider effort to raise awareness of the expanded child tax credit, the IRS also encourages its partners to use available online tools and toolkits, there's a link to that here, to help non-filers, low-income families, and others underserved groups sign up to receive the advanced CTC child tax credit. Some tax credits, such as the child tax credit, the CTC, are, quote, refundable, end quote, meaning that even if taxpayers don't owe tax, the IRS will issue them a refund if they're eligible, but they must file a tax return to register with the new non-filer sign-up tool to receive it. So some people who haven't filed the 2020 tax return yet are also eligible for the $1,400 per person economic impact payment and the Recovery Rebate Credit. The first monthly payments of the expanded and newly advanceable CTC child tax credit from the American Rescue Plan will be made in July. Most families will begin receiving monthly payments without any additional action. Eligible families will receive a payment of up to $300 per month for each child under age 6 and up to $250 per month for each child ages 6 through 17. So in other words, you can think about this credit as the aggregate adjustment that's going to be made. It was like a $2,000 credit before, and they increased the level that would be gotten if you were to file the tax return in 2022 for 2021. And then they're going to take, I think, half of that and give it out monthly for 6 months. And so that you can also break out how much that would be then on a monthly basis. And that's what this is here, the $300 per month for children under age 6 and $250 per month for each child ages 6 through 17. People who need to file a 2020 federal income tax return but are unable to attend one of these events may be able to prepare and file their own federal income tax online using the free file if their income is $72,000 or less. So you can go to the free file here. There's a link to that here. There's software that's available for people that's income is below that threshold, so you can file the tax return. That might be the best way to go because, again, that's filing the tax return may mean that you're eligible for more stuff, right? So people who don't need to file a 2020 federal income tax return can use the non-filer sign-up tool to register to receive the advanced CTC payments, the third round economic impact payment, and the Recovery Rebate Credit. So it looks like if you don't have to file, you can use this non-filer tool. Don't do both. Don't file this non-filer tool if you're required to file. That's not what it's there for. It's there for people that are not required to file. Even if you're not required to file, you still may want to file. But if you don't, then you can use the non-filer tool and possibly get access to these payments in that format, the CTC child tax credit and the economic impact payments, including third round, and it looks like even the recovery rebate credits, which is round 1 and round 2 of the economic impact payments that then were calculated on the 2020 tax return in the form of the recovery rebate credit. So the IRS encourages people to request payment via direct deposit, which is faster and more secure than other payment methods. People who don't have a bank account should visit the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation website for details on opening an account online. So if they're going to be sending out these monthly checks, then you want to make sure that they're sending it to somebody, right? And again, if you got people moving around and whatnot, then the best way to do that is to give the online banking information. If there is no online banking information, look at the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. There's a link to that here. Find some banking information, see if you can get set up for free or whatnot so that you can get the payments, sent out electronically that way. So they can also use the FDIC's Bank Find. There's a link to that here, tool to locate the FDIC insured banks. Finally, Bank On, there's a link to that here. American Bankers Association link, Independent Community Bankers of American link, and National Credit Union Administration link. have lists to banks and credit unions that can open an account online. Veterans can see the Veterans Benefit Banking Program, so the veterans can go there. There's a link to that here for financial services at participating banks. About the Advanced Child Tax Credit. The expanded and newly advanced child tax credit was authorized by the American Rescue Plan enacted in March. Normally, the IRS will calculate the payment based on a family's 2020 tax return, including those who use the non-filer sign-up tool. So once again, it's an advance payment. It's based on the 2021 taxes, which you wouldn't get until you filed the tax return in 2022. They increased it and they made part of it advanceable, so you will get access to part of it. And they made it refundable to make it easier to calculate. In order to calculate the advancement, they need to have the information, which generally they will get from the 2020 tax return if filed. If not, 2019 tax return if filed. If not, and you're not required to file, then you might want to use the non-filer sign-up tool, advising or noting that even if you're not required to file, you may still benefit from filing the tax return, and you have a free file software, so you might want to do that, even though it's a little bit more complicated. But if you don't want to do that, then you can use the non-filer sign-up tool and once again still get access. This is in theory. This is my interpretation of what I see. In theory, the IRS should still give you access to the advance payments for the child tax credit in that case, which they're going to send out kind of in a monthly format, taking half the credit, dividing it by 6 months, I believe, and sending it out. And we saw the per child calculations, which we'll see it again shortly. So if that return is not available because it has not yet been filed or is still being processed, the IRS will instead determine the initial payment amount using 2019 return or the information entered using the non-filer tool that was available in 2020. The payment will be up to $300 per month for each child under age 6 and $250 per month for each child age 6 through 17. And notice that even though you're getting these advance payments, I think it's only half of the credit calculation. So you'll still get another credit when you file the tax return in 2022 for the year 2021, although it will be more complicated to do because you'll have to figure out the credit, figure out how much you got prepaid, net the two out, and you should still get a credit as far as I can interpret it, as far as I can see at this point in time. So in any case, to make sure the families have easy access to their money, the IRS will issue these payments by direct deposit as long as correct banking information has previously been provided to the IRS. Otherwise, people should watch their mail around July 15th for their mailed payment. The dates for the advanced child tax credit payments are July 15th, August 13th, September 15th, October 15th, November 15th, and December 15th. To learn more about the CTC payments, visit irs.gov/child tax credit 2021. There's a link to that here, or the FAQs, frequently asked questions on the 2021 child tax credit and advanced child tax credit payments. There's a link to that here. There'll be a link to this in the description.